Hello everybody, Water here. Welcome to episode 11 of my second Let's Play series, Foxes Not Included. Now in the last episode we finally made the jump into the bottom half of our map, and then tamed a couple more geysers with the materials we found down there. Now today I would like to work a bit more on the core of our base, which means upgrading a couple things, and potentially even getting our first Bionic Dupes. But before I do that, there is a little bit of setup, so with that in mind, it's time to get back into the game and have a quick look. And here we are, right at one of the themas from last time. Now, as I said, the first step today is upgrading the core of our base a bit more, and I would like to start with my bathroom here, which, as I can see, occasionally has some pipes bursting due to the water freezing. So for that, I am going to replace the igneous rock with ceramic. Hopefully I have enough. Let's see. Also this part here and this part here, and I'm pretty low on that. I thought I would have more. I have clay and I have coal. Ah, it's a priority problem. Okay, let's increase the priority so we get some more of that. Okay, now while my dupes are upgrading all of that, I should potentially do a little bit of cleanup in this area here. So the first step is just plainly getting rid of the content here that will be replaced at a later point. Yeah, I'm also going to remove that. I'm going to get rid of that as well. And I'm also going to just plainly dig out all of this here while I'm here. Now, following that, we can build our hospital right here. So first, I'm going to need a ceiling all the way to here. Then a raised floor with a second floor below, and then raised a bit up to this point there. Tile here, then close this off with an airflow tile and pneumatic door. Then it's time for our two triage pods. Sick bay, apothecary, disease clinic, and wash basin. Then under plumbing, I'm going to grab the outhouse. Two bottle fillers and a bottle drainer. Then a refrigerator right there, followed by a deodorizer here. In between the two, I'm going to put a mess table, then a ceiling light. Let's go with the fancy one. And just because I can, I'm also going to add a little bit of decoration in there. Okay, now over here, I will have an infinite storage for the gunk, and since the gunk would freeze in the temperatures that are on this map here, I'm going to actually add some floor heating via a tapidizer. That will be controlled by a thermosensor in this corner. Then I can put in my manual airlocks. Another tile in this corner. I should also potentially add some temp shift blades out of granite there. Now once the saving is done, we can go back into plumbing and add a liquid pump. A vent. Then two bridges. Then we have our output, we have our input, and there. Now let's go with igneous rock here. So this is the output, this here is the input, which goes up like that. Now, power. First of all, I think I'm going to move this line up, but this here will have to go, except for this part here. So then I have my power connection going through the floor here, and then straight up and connecting there. This will later on be its own power circuit, but for now I'm just running it on this one there. Good, that is most of this here done. Now for the external connections. So first of all, we need to connect it to my miscellaneous pipe here, in case we plug up some gunk through this pipe here. So for that, I'm going to need a liquid valve. That will be connected like this here, and then bridges over. Goes through the floor, then up. And then, let's go through here. That means I'm going to need a couple ladders so I can reach everything properly. Oh, I just need one ladder actually. In this spot there. Okay, then. Last part is water up here. So for that, we are going to make a little modification in this area. So I'm going to move this valve up to this spot there. And then, and here I should potentially go back to the ceramic if I have enough. Not sure about that. Let's go back here. That's definitely not enough. Okay. Let's go with normal igneous rock then, for the moment at least. So this goes all the way over here. Then we already have a gap here we can make use of, and that goes through here all the way to over there. Okay, this is looking good. Or do I want to go... let's hide this in the wall a bit more. Okay, that is starting to take shape quite nicely. So, yeah, let's get all of this here properly built. And I still need to get some liquids in there. So, let's add the bottle emptier here. And I think I'm going to go with nectar. So, I'm not going to use it for the plastic production for the moment. I have more I can make use of right here. And here we go. Now, filling this here with nectar is going to take a decent while, so let's continue with our bathroom. So here I'm going to add for duplicants, the bionic ones, a lubrication station, and then a plumbing gunk extractor. That will require a bridge here and another bridge there. Then I can cut off in this spot and in this spot. Just have to make sure I don't have any liquid left in there. Then I can connect down here. And I should make sure the bridge here is built ASAP. Like that. Okay. Now, next up. Where do I get my lubricant from? Well, I have a lot of slime down here. So for the moment, I'm going to use a plant pulverizer in this spot here. And that will produce phyto oil, which goes along here. And at least for the moment, I'm just going to run this through like that. At a later point, I will switch to crude oil, but for now, I am going to use the slime I have, as already mentioned. Okay, this is looking good. So, yeah, saving is done. Okay, then. Over here, I have some space for some decoration, so let's work on that next. Just because I can. And now, over here, I think it's time for some automation. So I'm going to start with a receptacle in this spot there. Then a conveyor loader here. And in between the two, let's put it there, I'll have my auto sweeper. Then I am going to need a conveyor here for sand. And then going over there, I have the final result, which is the polluted dirt. Finally, this will need power, which is nearby already, so no real surprise there. Okay. And now it's time for our massage clinic, which will go in this corner there. So first I'm going to add automatic doors with tiles, and then airflow tiles on top. Then a simple ceiling. Now over here I will have in total 2 massage tables. Like that. Then we are closing off in this small room. And then this next room will be a recreation room. So 3, 4, and 5. That should be enough, I suppose. And then it's time for some decoration. So let's add... I don't really have much gold amalgam. Yeah, whatever. Let's use it for those 2 at least. And then some of that stuff. I am not going to put those metal blocks in there yet, since last time we found a gold volcano, which we will have to tame at some point. So I plan on placing those out of gold at a later point. Okay. Then over here, I'm just going to quickly add some ladders to make everything accessible. And we might as well continue on a bit further up here. And for the moment get rid of this entire setup here. It's not needed at all for anything. And we might as well make use of the opportunity. And there will be something in this area, at least up to somewhere around here. And then I can get rid of all of this here as well. And we're just about to get our first achievement for today. Over here. Art Underground, have Duplicant with the Masterwork skill paint a masterpiece quality painting. Which is just what happened here. Okay, now in the meantime I've also reconsidered. I'm no longer putting nectar in here since this is taking absolute ages. I will now just put in some mercury and wait until that melts. Which means we can also turn this here on again for our plastic production. And yeah, let's just continue building all of this stuff here. So now we have a fully functional massage clinic, but we are still missing a deco item for our recreation room. So that means I am going to just add a portrait canvas in this corner and then one more there. A little bit of ceiling trim on top. And I'm really considering just using pedestals for artifacts I may find in those corners here and maybe even there. Yeah, that might be actually a good idea. So that means I can get rid of the ceiling trim. Just speed this up a little bit until the Dupe comes by. And then replace the ceiling trim with aeropods in those spots, which should even increase the deco value further. Okay, then down here we have a little bit of an issue. The mercury is taking absolute ages to melt, since the temperatures in here are rather low. So I think I'm just going to add a timer sensor here for the moment, connected to the teppidizer, and then turn it on and off within a second, which should keep the teppidizer on even if it's not in liquid, and that should produce enough heat for the moment. At least that is my hope here. Now, over here, we might want to actually order the plant pulverizer to start producing our phyto oil. Oh, that is also rather important. And that leaves us with just a little bit more until we can get some Bionic Dupes. And that is for one. They will likely need some oxygen canisters. I'm going to just put 2 of those canister fillers in there. And then they will also eat power banks. And once I have them, I'm going to go with the eco-friendly version, which uses the power bank charger. So I will, for the moment, just put in 3 right here. That should be enough for that. It's running on this grid here. That is good. And why not? Let's put in the door here and the door there. Airflow tile. And I'm just going to close this off and build a proper room out of this here. And with that now done, I can grab under stations a soldering station, which goes right there. Connect it to the power grid. And with that I can now make a couple of those eco power banks, and I think I'm going to just make 20, and that is going to be way more than I'll ever need. So, now, while my dupes are working on that, we might as well have a look at my great hall here and maybe the kitchen. So, let's first replace our water cooler with a party phone in the corner there. Then I can get rid of that one. I can also clean up in the bottom part now. Next up is some lighting. So we have 4 at the top there and 2 at the bottom. I'm also going to need a little bit of trim in those spots here. Then an arrow pot in the corner there. Then I can put... I'm going with iron ore here for that. Or maybe, since I don't really need it for anything else, copper ore. Since that at least has a slightly increased deco value. Then the smaller ones in those spots here. Another pottery one and a smaller one. And just going to speed this up a little bit. So yeah, I can put those in place. Add a couple more of these here. And that is pretty much all I need in there. Now it's time for the power. Now the snow tiles will have to be upgraded, so I'm going with window tiles in the middle there, and then metal tiles on the outside there. Also here. And there. This one here I'm going to keep as is. And then we have some space for a landscape painting there. So that fits in perfectly. Let's also just add a little bit of this at the top of the whole thing here. And that is all looking pretty good, if I may say so. So, why is this not moved up here? Let's see. I want everything edible to be moved up. And this is not reachable. Okay, so let's move this like that. Good. Anything else I need to do? A little bit of cleanup there. Power is in place. This is all being built. The first eco bank is ready to be refilled. I'm considering putting in a bit of automation, but for the moment I'm just going to increase the priority and then my dupes should get on that in either case. So this is all built. This still needs to heat up a bit more, although we are getting there slowly but surely. So yeah, let's first upgrade all of this here and then we are going to have a look at our barracks. And here we go. Now before I go further up, let's actually add another portrait in there, then maybe a metal block even in there, and following that a sculptured block there. So that will fill really every corner. So next up is, first of all, replacing all of those cots here with the proper and much better comfy beds. And I think I'm actually going with this little variation here. So that is one part, and the other part is simply upgrading all of those tiles here with the carpeted tiles for the increased deco value. Just hope I have enough reed fiber for all of that. Looks like I have barely enough. Yeah, just enough for all of the upgrades here. But as I said, let's replace all of those cots here with the comfy beds. And here we go. Now to properly upgrade, and they are still missing a couple of things. So for one, I'm just going to show you this in one example and then just copy it to the other ones. For one, we are going to need a couple canvases in there. Then, yeah, I'm also already putting in some of those. Then the corner trim. And then finally, I need drywall. And the question is, which one am I going to choose? Yeah, let's go with the thematic one. So just going to obviously not replace those tiles there. And that should turn this into a proper private bedroom, or what are they called? Yeah, private bedroom. Just like this here. And, well, this took a while, but as you can see, I have now all properly upgraded. In the meantime, I also noticed that the mercury melted, so I could finish with the storage over here. And it's set to 25 degrees positive, so that should be definitely enough heating in there. And as you can see, I overshot a little bit. Now, next up is preparing this room here, and for that we are going to need a couple special tiles in here, and those will be produced with those hydroponic farms in the corners. Then I'm going to grab a glass forge. Although first let's actually go with the power supply. So first I'm going to need a power transformer. Place that here. Then a couple smart batteries. And then our glass forge. There. Now under plumbing I'm going to grab a liquid valve, which will go straight up. Now here I might want to use ceramic for this sort segment there. Just going to connect this as I have done a couple times in the past. Now all that's left is connecting this going straight down, and then no longer needed. I'm going to put in a little liquid vent in this spot there. And then once this is built, I can set in this liquid valve here to 1 kilogram per second, and that will keep all of the liquid glass from solidifying inside of this pipe here. And subsequently I will then end up with 5 kilograms of glass in any of those hydroponic farms. So let's make a little bit of glass. Just going to speed this up a second, so you can see this in action. Are my dupes. Okay. And apparently no one wants to work on that yet. Okay, no research. Just waiting a few more seconds, and there we go. So you can see the sand or the glass flowing through the pipe, and it's already cooled down a whole lot. So we get a little bit of heat leak at the top there, and then just a little bit gets absorbed by those hydroponic farms here, and the rest, the last 5 kilograms, was spit out at the bottom there. Now I can get rid of this pipe here up to this point here. I'm going to make use of this here for a later project, but for now we're just going to need to get rid of the pipes. And then I need to empty the storage, which will be done from the bottom. So we'll end up with a glass tile of 5 kilograms right below, as you can see here. So, and anyone coming? Okay, and now I can also get rid of these here. And you can see I already prepared one idilla seed in each of those areas, which means that the last part is just moving tips over, and those will then plant the seeds in those top corners here, just like this here. And now all that's left is opening up these steps here, and then I just need, and wait, is that in the furniture, I believe? Yeah, the plug sign. Now, what material am I going to use there? I think I'm going with granite. I can find it. Yeah. Oh, let's put that in there. And that should give us a very nice nature reserve, which will give every dupe who goes to or from sleeping a moral bonus. Okay, now it's already getting a bit late, so I am not going to get started on my setup over here. Instead, I think I'm going to continue with a little bit of cleanup. So first, I'm just going to get rid of this center area here and replace it with the normal ladder setup. And in the meantime, I'll have a look at my printing pot And maybe we'll get our first Bionic Dupe while we are busy over here. So, the printing pot just rang, so let's see what we're working with. Ah, we have Bionic Dupe and a rancher. That is amazing, although minus agriculture is a little bit annoying, but nevertheless, this is going to be my second rancher. I definitely will have need of that. That's a bit of a lucky draw even. Oh, we have our first Bionic Dupe, and okay, this looks entirely different. This is actually the first time I'm seeing a Bionic Dupe. So these are the boosters, and up here we have the various options. So yeah, let's go for increased athletics first. So then this is going to get my rancher. And oh, that's the other stuff we get from them, huh? A beer bomb. Let's pick that up. Let's quickly move these here down to there. As I said, the first time I'm actually grabbing one. I read up on them, obviously, but I didn't really test this all through, but it should work. So 5 of these, and we have a lot more of those eco power banks, so that should be definitely enough. And gear bomb isn't really needed with the lubrication station being filled with fighter oil. So that is all going to work. Yeah, but I was at the top here. So consumables. Is there anything I need to worry about for my bionics? Oxygen canisters. Okay. And yeah, let's allow them to grab everything. Then priorities. Now, he is obviously going to be a rancher, so that is going to be the most important part. And aside of that, let's go with supplying, storing, some operating, life support, and TDing. So more or less the standard stuff. And toggling. Good. Schedule. I think they have their own schedule. Okay. Very long downtime, bedtime. I'm going to leave it as is. Don't need to shift alarms though. Nice. Okay, so we have our very first Bionic Dupe now. Yeah. And yeah, now let's just continue with the cleanup over here. And we're just about to find out what a Bionic Dupe does during the downtime. So they should be over here. Let's just speed this up and then let's watch them. So they are eating a power bank. Okay, that went quick. And now they ate another power bank. Okay. How many power banks do they eat actually? I believe it's one per day or something like that, huh? Ah, then oxygen. And the second one. Wait, where are they? Ah, and a third one. Maybe I should set those here to the full 200. I believe that's the problem here. So, there. Next up, where is Sonia going? Ah, directly into bed. Let's have the gunk. 61%, and I don't think we have any gunk yet in the loop here. Why is there mercury in there? Ah, the pumped up some mercury from earlier. Okay, that is a little bit annoying, but whatever. Empty? Yeah, that's storage. So. Sonia is defragmentating, huh? Whatever it's called. And I thought they would produce microchips, but apparently not. And now they are working again as usual, huh? Looks like. Okay. Oh, anyway, we are done over here, so let's continue with cleaning out this little area here. And we're finally done with this part as well. Now in the meantime, I also finally noticed that the bottle drainer actually counts as an industrial machine, so I had to move it out of the hospital to officially turn it into one. But that is now done as well. We also finally have some gunk, so that means we can now go over here and start by adding the missing liquid bridges there. Just need to make sure I'm not getting any kind of liquid in the meantime from below. Then I can use this here to get some gunk. A water bottle into this filter here, which also needs to be set to 21 grams. And then we can prime this filter here to sort out any gunk that makes its way into this pipe here and then store it away. Just like this here. And with that, I think we've reached a good point to stop with the episode here. I finally have my medical center. I've also finally upgraded my base core. And in the next episode, I think I'm going to work on the teller situation and automate that process a bit further. And with that, all that's left for me to say is that I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, share, and comment if you did so. It really helps the channel. And with that, I wish you a nice day, and well, see you